You may have heard that building an AI agent is easy, but when you get to production and implementation, that tells you a different story. Until now, that is. Hi, I'm Stuart. I'm here with Yuval from AI21 to look at their new Agent AI engine, which simplifies the deployment process, increases task execution, and gives you budget control. How are we doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. So what are you showing us today?
Really excited to be here. So today what we're going to do is really tackle the issue with LLMs and LLMs in production mostly, because there's a lot of demos, it's a lot of fun, like just look what I just built, all the Twitter bots and those kind of things. But when you really want to go into production, you really have to put some effort in it. Okay, It's not as easy as one may think. It's not just grab and go. It's not one day hackathon and you nail it. And this is why really all the world right now are talking about AI agents. This is like the buzzword. Everywhere you look, AI agents here and agent support over here, so on and so on. But there are a lot of problems which everybody who's actually tried to implement an agent are aware of.
Yep.
Right? And we're going to talk about three main problems, and we're doing three videos where each video essentially will talk about the solution for one of them.
Okay.
So the first one is really, it's kind of hard to do that. Like you need to really make sure you're really put a lot of effort in the prompting part. There's a lot of edge cases you need to cover, a lot of like small bits that you don't really know until you're there. Yeah. Okay, like everything mostly. The second thing is that there is a reliability issue, right? This is with all generative AI models. It's not new. It's not specifically for AI agents, but like for AI agents, I think there's like a large misconception that like it is the most reliable thing, and it can be, because once you introduce new like guardrails, new validators to an LLM, it becomes much better, but it's still a lot of work.
Yes.
So how do you get those reliability guarantees?
Yeah, you're looking for consistency.
Yeah, consistency and things that you can like really take to production and be safe. That enterprises can say, well, I'm okay with that. No lawsuit for me. I don't want to pay anything. Like that's really what it's all about.
Good.
Okay? And the third thing is like the budget control, right? Where essentially you can get to a point where an agent does a lot of tasks, a lot of different things, just to extract some entities.
Yeah.
From so you pay a lot of money for something you can do maybe even without an LLM, really. So these are some, not all, but some of the main problems in the AI agent world. And we at AI21 really want to tackle them using our new Agent Engine API.
Got it.
Okay. So what we're going to do, essentially, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to solve.
Yep.
We're going to explain briefly.
Yep.
Then we'll show a short demo video and look at the code.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So first of all, what we really want to do is to show you with code, right, with an example, how do we tackle this kind of task. And we will start with something which is will not require a lot of work, just to show how easy it is to build something with actual guarantees on that.
Sure.
Okay, so what we do have here is, every agent works based on a plan, right? So it gets some sort of a task, and then it's supposed to break it down to steps, okay, which is a plan, right? And you want to execute them either parallelly or one after the other, but that's like that's what people do as well.
Yeah,
right? That's like
that's
the entire,
how we run code.
Yeah, so this is like the entire premise of agents.
So let's look at the building blocks of how we start this.
Okay, great. So the most basic and important building block of this engine is the step. Okay, where a step is essentially like a part of the plan where it has an input, it has an output, and instructions. And you may think of that as like a single call to an LLM. Okay, this can be a step, but this will not give optimal results. And once we define a step here, okay, this is where we get all of the really guarantees that it will work better. It's not just a call for an LLM. It's not just pre-processing, post-processing. There's a lot of things going out there, but for a developer, it's just writing several lines of code and getting actual guarantees that it works. Okay, so let's really do it with an example. Okay, let's talk what we are building today.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the time of the year where annual reviews are coming up, right? And in 2 years ago, it was something that people really spend a lot of time on. Last year, it was something that people just used LLMs to write it. If they cared, they actually had to rewrite most of it themselves. If not, good, you can just submit it. But now we're getting to a more sophisticated base. Okay, what you really want to do when you write your annual review is to be based on actual things that you did, actual accomplishments, right? You really wanted to, if you care, if it matters, you want it to be on spot. So here you have to really rely on organizational data. So what we're going to show today is just a demo of something that an agent that will write for you an annual review.
Yep.
Okay, and again, you can really generalize it for any kind of form filling or some sort of task which is grounded on organizational data. Let's see first of all a quick demo, okay, just to understand kind of how it works. So you can see it here. You can just ask, write a yearly review about Ori Goshen. This is the CEO of my company, so I really hope that the review will be good.
Performance is good.
Yeah, otherwise this will be the last day of my last day at AI21. So you can see here on the right, you can actually see the execution graph, okay, which we will talk about briefly later. But now you can see what happens here essentially is that the agent is not just writing. It needs to know who is Ori Goshen. It needs to know what really happened.
Yep.
So it scans all the Slack messages from all the public channels at AI21 over the last 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. And what we did for this demo is want to show the RAG capability, the data. So we pre-processed it. We scanned ourselves all the Slack channels. We stored them in our AI21 storage. And now what happened is that we're doing a lot of calls for RAG engine to really get all the main things that Ori did. So you can see here, leadership and communication. Good, he's a CEO. Talent development and mentorship, business development, okay, operational skills. All of these, really good. So good job, Ori.
And it breaks it down into the specific sort of tasks that you might be wanting to look for your output for.
Yeah, so essentially, the first part is, right, you just get all the things that he did, right, based on essentially all the Slack messages that he wrote, that people mentioned him, anything like that, okay? And you can really see here in this execution tree, this is not just RAG and write on top of that, right? You have a lot of steps here, a lot of places where you can go, and so on. So what we're seeing here, okay, essentially based on a lot of organizational data, just write something, and because this is a structured format, it makes the agent do validation much easier.
Good.
Okay, want to see how it works in code?
I'd love to see how the code works, yeah. Let's jump into the code.
Essentially, you can see here, okay, this is how you run it. But the code here is really simple. This is why we wanted to show that as the first example. Okay, again, this is something that is comprised from steps.
Yes. But
very simple, very few steps. Okay, so first of all, we can just see here some imports. That's okay, that's cool. We're creating an AI21 client. And then we're just waiting it, okay? So we need to first create this assistant, okay? Now we have it. That's great. And let's see what is the plan. How does it work? So you can see here, okay, first of all, notice step. So this is the building block that we're talking about. And this is something which is very simple, right? All this plan is just with 3 steps.
Yeah. So
this is the first step in the plan. Okay, it's something which is very simple. You can do it with either a very small LLM, so maybe an SLM in this case, or even in regex mostly. You don't really need the big guns here, just to extract the name of the employee from the message, right? The message was something like, write me an annual review or give me the points or whatever, but we just need the name. Okay, so in this step, what we want is to get the name of the user, of the worker. So we did that. Okay, so this is the first one. Very simple, very nice. Now what we want to do is to get the information, right? So the second step is using RAG. Again, if you were doing it real time in Slack, instead of putting a RAG, you want to connected to the Slack API. Okay, and it will work. Not a lot of work to really change that.
Yeah, to make the call.
Yeah, but what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, the tool here is file search.
Okay.
Okay, so RAG, and essentially, right, we're asking what did worker name do, and you can see the instruction here. It's kind of basic.
Yes.
Right. This is like prompt engineering 101. Right. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like this is not the best way to do that. Right. But that's the thing. You don't have to work on that.
No.
Like you can just put that, and we are testing. Like we will do several types of queries. We are changing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Everything behind the scenes, so you won't have to waste your time on that. So you can see here just an instruction. What we are wanting the output here to be a string.
Yep.
Right. We just wanted the data. The input is a dictionary. This is just because how it works. And the tool is file search. Okay. We are using RAG, our internal organizational data. So first step, we got the name. Second step, we're getting all the actions, all the things that they do. Third step, write the review. Right.
Yes.
So if this was like the R part of RAG, now we are in the UG part of RAG. I really like to say that. Anyway, so you can see here, this is an instruction. So you can see here just like several examples. You write the review, and then this is should be create positive and constructive, and so on, right? This is like a very AWS thing, right? Everything is just superpowers.
Yeah.
So really, everything here should be good. It's not just bashing. It's not just.
Yes.
And that's it. That's like the third step. And once we're doing all that, we're just telling our agent, our assistant, this is the plan you have to go through. 3 steps, very, very easy, and you're done. And really think about, like, it's not just the fact that it's like a very little code.
No.
It's the fact that, yeah, you just had to write a small amount of lines, but in every line you have a lot of things working behind the scenes that you don't have to worry about.
So yeah, like we were saying, it's a lot of that heavy lifting for you, so you just have to give it the prompts to tell it the information that you actually want.
Yeah, and you don't really have to work a lot on the prompt.
No.
So
prompts are easy.
Yeah, prompting has never been so easy, I guess.
So what are the next steps then for people who want to learn more about this?
So we are now releasing a new data program for our new Agent Engine API. So if you want to join, if you want to experiment with that, if you want to build with that, we have a link here in the comments. You can just sign up and we'll give you access. You can talk to me on LinkedIn. I really love to hear feedback. I really want to know what you're interested in, how we can help to solve that, and what do you think about it.
Thanks, Siobhan. That was amazing. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. We've got more videos coming up in this series. We'll see you soon.